I remember that night like it was yesterday. It's not easy to forget the moment your entire world falls apart. My name is Emily, and this is my story of betrayal and an unexpected twist that left me speechless. Mark and I met in college. He was charming, with an infectious laugh that drew everyone in. Our connection was immediate, and we became inseparable. Over the years, our relationship evolved from young love into a deep, trusting partnership. We got engaged, moved into a cozy little house, and even started talking about a future together, marriage, kids, a life filled with laughter and love. But little did I know that beneath this perfect surface, something was simmering, ready to explode and shatter everything I thought I knew about love and trust. It all started when we met Lily. Lily was a new face in our group. Mark introduced her one evening, saying she was a friend from his gym. She was outgoing, a bit flirtatious, and had a smile that could light up a room. At first I liked her. She was fun to be around, and we quickly bonded. We'd have girls' nights, sharing stories and laughing about silly things. I thought she was a friend, someone who had become part of my small, trusted circle. A few weeks later, Mark suggested we invite Lily over for a game night. It seemed like a fun idea. We planned a casual evening, nothing fancy, just some board games, wine, and laughter. Mark even joked about how it was going to be a night we'd never forget. I had no idea how true his words would turn out to be. The evening started out perfectly. Lily arrived dressed in her usual slightly provocative style, but I brushed it off. She'd always been a bit flashy, and I had grown used to it. We laughed, played a few rounds of cards, and shared some drinks. As the night progressed, the atmosphere became more relaxed, maybe even a bit too relaxed. Mark poured us each another glass of wine, and that's when things started to feel off. I noticed subtle glances between Mark and Lily, a flicker in his eyes, the way she smiled at him. It was as if they shared a secret. But I pushed the feeling aside, convincing myself it was just paranoia. I didn't want to be the jealous girlfriend who read too much into things. But as the night wore on, the tension between them became harder to ignore. Finally, I excused myself to go to the kitchen. As I was grabbing some snacks, I overheard whispers. At first, I thought it was just them joking around, but then I heard Mark say something that made my blood run cold. "She has no idea." I froze. The words echoed in my mind as I tried to process what they could possibly mean. She has no idea. No idea about what? I forced myself to stay calm and returned to the living room, pretending everything was normal. But inside, my heart was pounding, my mind racing. I knew I couldn't confront them directly, not yet. I needed to be sure of what was going on. So I decided to play along, masking my suspicions with a forced smile and casual conversation. As the night went on, I suggested we play a truth or dare game. It was an innocent idea, or so it seemed, but I had a plan. I wanted to see how far they'd go, how careless they'd become if they thought I was clueless. We started with harmless questions, laughing as we dared each other to do silly things. Then it was Lily's turn. "Truth or dare?" I asked her, my voice steady, my eyes fixed on hers. "Truth," she replied, a slight smirk on her face. "What's your biggest secret?" I asked, trying to sound playful, even though my heart was in my throat. She laughed, glancing at Mark before answering. "Oh, I don't know, maybe that I'm a terrible liar," she said with a wink. The tension in the room thickened, but I forced a laugh, brushing it off as part of the game. Then it was Mark's turn. I looked him in the eye, trying to see any hint of guilt or remorse. "Truth or dare?" "Dare," he said, grinning. "All right," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. "I dare you to tell me one thing you've never told me before." His smile faltered just for a second, but he recovered quickly, laughing it off. "I don't think there's anything I haven't told you, Em," he replied, trying to sound sincere. but I could see the unease in his eyes. We wrapped up the game shortly after, and I made an excuse to leave the room, pretending I had forgotten something upstairs. In reality, I needed a moment to breathe, to process what I was feeling. But as I climbed the stairs, something caught my attention. I heard Mark's voice, low and urgent. "Just be patient," he whispered. "We'll figure it out." I didn't want to believe what I was hearing. I didn't want to believe that the man I trusted, the man I loved, could be hiding something so terrible from me. But the signs were all there, and I knew I couldn't ignore them any longer. The next day, after Lily had left, I confronted Mark. I didn't accuse him outright. Instead, I asked him about Lily, about why he seemed so close to her. He brushed it off, saying they were just friends and that I was overthinking things, but I wasn't convinced. So I decided to do something I never thought I'd do. I went through his phone. What I found shattered me. There were messages between them, hidden in a folder labelled "work stuff." The texts were flirtatious, secretive, filled with inside jokes and hidden meanings. My hands trembled as I read through them, each message cutting deeper into my heart. But then, something strange happened. Among the messages, I found a note addressed to me. It was as if he knew I'd find it eventually. "Emily, if you're reading this, I'm sorry, but there's something you need to know. This whole thing with Lily, it was all a setup, a test. I wanted to see if you'd trust me enough to believe in us, to let go of your insecurities, and believe in our love. But it seems I was wrong." My mind spun as I read his words. A setup? A test? None of it made any sense. Why would he go through all this just to test me? It was then that everything fell into place. Lily, she wasn't just a friend from the gym. She was an actress, someone Mark had hired to play the role of the other woman. He wanted to test my trust, to see if I'd let jealousy cloud my judgment, and I had failed. I had let my doubts consume me, push me to invade his privacy, betray the trust we had built. But the twist didn't end there. The last message in the folder was from Lily. It was short, simple, but it spoke volumes. "I'm sorry, Mark, I didn't mean for things to go this far, but the truth is, I think I've fallen for you." I closed the phone, my heart shattering into 1,000 pieces. The setup, the test, it had all spiraled out of control. In trying to test my loyalty, Mark had lost his own. He had crossed a line, and in doing so, he had fallen for the very person he had hired to deceive me. That night, I packed my bags and left. The betrayal cut too deep, the wounds too fresh. Mark's test had destroyed our relationship, our future. He thought he was clever, that he could manipulate my emotions to prove a point. But in the end, he lost more than just my trust. He lost me,